Hello guys and welcome to an episode of Builds with Hades. Today I'm gonna be twitching, gonna be streaming, maybe twitching, some gameplay. However, I wanted to showcase a few of my builds, so this video is probably gonna be split like in 3 parts so that we don't have all the builds in a single video for people that are not interested in all 3 builds, right? We're going to start with one that is an elemental one, electricity shock based. Basically using my favorite ring, the Ring of Malevolence. Obviously, if you're doing anything elemental damage and you're not using the Ring of Malevolence, then you might be doing things wrong, my friend. Anyhow, so here we have the build. First of all, we're going to see what we're using, and we're going to discuss why everything is where it is. Because in this game, it's very easy to do strong builds, but it's better if you find synergy between 2 or more things per build, right? This way you are empowering the traits of your character. So, well, the armor, really doesn't matter what type of armor you want to use. That's just up to... I really don't care too much about armor unless I'm very specifically doing a boss and it's doing a very specific elemental, and then I get into it, right? For our heart, we're using the Runed Heart, which gives us health regeneration by 5 and 500 mod power over 10 seconds for both weapons. This is huge for this build. We are using for Amulet, the shock device which will increase 20% anything electricity shock that you do, which is basically all of this build. And the overloaded damage by 50%. 50%, guys, is a big number. This game, 50%, and pretty much in any game, is a lot. Then we have the encrypted ring. It has some synergy with our sidearm, right? Using a mod regenerates 20% of the health over 10 seconds. So we can have both the Runed Heart and the encrypted ring activated at the same time, up to 3 times. So basically having 60% of regeneration here over 30 seconds with encrypted ring, and we have 5 about for 10 seconds by the Runed Heart. So that's basically how we get our health back. That, and we do have the trait regrowth, but this gives us 1 more of regeneration per second. So the 3 of them stack, giving you overall good healing, right? So you don't really need like one of the normal hearts for this guy. And it is very important, the ability to gain mod power, as this build centers around mod power. So to view real quick the weapons before I get really into the rings. So here you can use whatever weapon you want. I'm using the Chicago Typewriter. It's one of my favorite weapons. I used it a lot in Remnant 1. Has decent range. It has good ammo, max ammo. So in this case, what we have is Prophecy. Prophecy, whenever we use this weapon's weapon mod, it increases power generation by 6%. So I throw one of those little orbs, and I'm increasing mod power generation by 6% for 10 seconds, and it can stack up to 5 times. Now, since I have it in level 10, I also have reduces the mod power requirement of this weapon's mod by 10%, which is pretty big. For our weapon art, I don't know. I play Elden Ring, so for the weapon special, if you want to call it, let me see what's the name. Oh, the mod. Damn it. Okay, so for the weapon mod, we have the Voltaic Ranger, which is like the little orb of electricity, goes shocking everything in its path. And this one is obviously very highly boosted thanks to our amulet and rings. For weapon, melee weapon, I don't really care what you like. I like Abyssal Hook. Some people like I don't know, like the Spectral Blade, or I've seen some people run around with... I don't know why people don't run around with Atom Smasher. I think that Atom Smasher is potentially broken. Especially with Edgelord, which increases melee charge speed by 35% and the attack speed by 15%. So pretty strong. Anyways, the melee weapon is not really redundant for this build. You can use whatever. The Enigma, it is kind of redundant. Not only is a weapon that naturally does shock damage, but it also stacks up to 7 times. So you can have 7 mods charged. Each time you shoot one, you get 20% health back. Plus, right now we have Spirit Healer, which also regenerates 5% health every 5 seconds for every 300 mod power spent, and allies get the heal part of the heal too. So as you can see, we have 4 sources of healing with this build. So not only you're going to be doing a lot of shock damage, you're also going to be healing yourself all the time. Again, you have the Runed Heart, you have the encrypted ring whenever you use a mod power like this one, you have the trait regrowth, and now you have the Mutator Spirit Healer. So really there isn't no excuse to die. Like you can even heal your allies with this build. So now the rings, we have the Encrypted Ring. Again, it goes hand to hand with the mod power for Enigma. We have Stone of Malevolence, which is pretty much the biggest ring and part in this whole and all of my elemental builds. Elemental damage generates 15% additional mod power. If you stack this with the ability of the Archon Tempest, which generates 3% mod power per second, and casting a mod increases all mod generation for 100%, you basically have mods all the time. Yeah, infinite mods. That's basically what we're doing here. And finally, this ring is really not necessary for this build. I just didn't think of anything that I would say like this is necessary for this build. So I just went ahead with Xania's Malice. It is a great ring. Like everybody wants 30% more damage just after hitting 3 weak spots. Like that's free damage, 30% range damage. Xania's Malice is probably one of the best rings in the game, in my personal opinion. So let's talk real quick about the archetypes, what we're using and why. We're using the Havoc form because it's a shock build, right? So we need shock damage. Process is pretty cool. We're using the Prime perk for the Archon. They automatically regenerates 3% mod power, and casting increases more power generation. And interesting enough, we're using the Engineer, but there's reasons for this. Like you might be like, why the Engineer and not something like the Ritualist, for example? Well, it is because of the damage perk for the Engineer. Metal Worker increases skill damage by 50% and gives skill critical chance. That directly boosts Havoc form by a lot. Like by a lot. So the damage is considerable. Plus you get some versatility. Like if you need more ammo, then you can just use the Vulcan, so you have an extra weapon. You have 3 weapons now plus a turret. Or you can use Impact Cannon if you want to like snipe, or if you want area control. So actually the Engineer is kind of underrated. But and finally we have the Flamethrower, which is huge because it does elemental damage, and guess what it stacks with? It works with Stone of Malevolence. So basically using the Flamethrower is going to recharge your mod very quickly in case you don't. So the build will always have mod power. So that's basically the theme, is you never running out of mod power no matter what. And finally we have the Grounding Stone, which again 10% more shock damage and gives us a bit of shock resistance, which is always nice. So yeah, that's basically the build. We have the Engineer, we have the Archetype Archon, which gives us 50% more damage also to mods. So both the Voltaic Ranger and the Chaos Drivers are going to do more damage thanks to being an Archon. And finally, for the traits, I always have it maxed out: the Vigor, Endurance, Spirit, Expertise, and Swiftness, at least at level 8 Swiftness. But for this guy in particular, we're going to be using Affliction to increase the duration of status effects. Shock damage normally does not last long, right? And we don't want to go ahead and spend 1 ring slot using this one for this build. Normally Timekeeper's Jewel, I would use it if you're using the Ritualist with the second ability. In that case, it's totally worth it, right? Like you're doing a whole lot more damage for just 1 ring. But in this case, we're going to skip that ring and we're just going to go and put some levels into Affliction. 60% is enough. You're going to be doing a lot of mod damage, so you're going to be able to replace it on the opponent multiple times. 45, which comes included with Engineer, gives us more armor effectiveness. So that's interesting to notice that for a build that has so much healing and so much elemental damage, it also has decent damage reduction at 48, almost 50. It's all right. We have decent defense. This is nothing to write home about, right? But we have decent defenses. And then we have, obviously, the Bark Skin gives us a bit of damage reduction there, and 10% elemental damage reduction. Revivalist is a must. Everybody that plays with other people should have Revivalist at least at level 8. And finally, Footwork. I have lately started to really like this trait, so I use it. So basically, let's see what this build does now that we already know all the synergies and how everything's supposed to work. So first of all, as I previously said, let's imagine here for a second that I can take some damage and Okay, I killed myself. Okay, not so much damage, so I just wanted to show you this, the healing of this, right? So don't kill me, guys. Okay, so you can see the mod power regeneration, how it's fighting it, right? So if I go ahead and I use this ability a couple more times, you see how I regenerate HP like crazy. And this is just using my mod power, right? This is just using mod power. Then on top of that, you can use your hearts, which not only regenerate your HP by a while, but it also gives you more mod power, right? So now you can see the regeneration, how strong it is. Like I'm receiving damage right now, and the regeneration is just crazy strong. So you have a lot of HP gains. Like you're always regenerating life. That's something super cool about this build. Something else very cool is you can see the skills. So both the flamethrower, you can see how my mods to the bottom right, check out how they charge. Like I already have my bubble charged, and I'm charging the other guys, and now I have the other one. So now you have again all the mods, you know, you can shoot the mods, charge a lot of HP. Then come back here, you silly thing. Then another way for you to charge your mods, obviously, is using our Archon ability, which in this case is going to be doing quite some damage thanks to the Engineer. So the Engineer is going to boost 50% of this damage, so it does give or take like 20k per cast, which is pretty decent. It can take you out of a pickle. Plus, this also gives you like mobility skills and defense skills. So overall, with both your flamethrower and both your skills recharge your mods. That's what I've been trying to tell you all this time. So all your skins recharge, all your skins or your skills recharge your mods, and once your mods are active, like it becomes just an infinite mod build, right? Thanks to that Ring of Malice, like there's really no limit to how much damage you can do with these things. You'll just be throwing infinite stuff, like infinite this, regenerating your HP constantly, right? All the time, and it's basically great area control. So if you want to see this build being played, probably gonna post a mini vid with it later on. But yeah, this is what you're working with. It is very fun to play, excessively controlling. Gives you tools. Again, the flamethrower, since you have so much mod power generation, the flamethrower, it's not 100% needed, right? Like you can change it depending on a boss fight or a specific area if you need the other ones. Remember, all the cannons are exceedingly good. Exceedingly good. Heavy weapons are very good. And they're in this build again because of Metal Worker, and because this not only gives us better skill damage, but it also lets us recharge our mods with skill damage. So kind of makes a cycle of infinite mod power and regeneration, right? So it is as cool as it sounds, and it works. Like you can see, I already have my 7 things here. Again, it's a lot of shock damage. Like that's what I told you it was gonna be, and that's what it is. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna do a cut here for the YouTube, but go ahead and stick around. I'm gonna do another Ring of Malevolence build, but this one with my favorite element, fire. It is gonna be a bit different, and no, you did not guess right. I am not using the Engineer. I'm not using the flamethrower, but it still works pretty similar. So stick around for the next video then.